Hey, it's Marek. Today, I want to challenge your thinking about artificial intelligence. I like the acronym AI, but I think it should expand to alien intelligence, as in alien creatures visiting our world. If I were to name one thing I enjoy most about my job, it would be the opportunity to learn from business leaders and sometimes challenge their thinking. This is how the most recent post on my Substack begins. It does begin with a story about a meeting with an executive who came over to me after the keynote and said, "Hey, we're piloting Gen AI in three departments: customer service, procurement, compliance. We like the quick response drafts," the chief operating officer of a manufacturing company said. We like dealing with boring parts of proposal drafts and early flagging of potential issues. The post is called Alien Intelligence, subtitled "What Game of Go Reveals About Our Approach to AI Transformation." So during that meeting with the CEO, after he told me how they use Gen AI at work, I asked what surprising behaviors he was seeing and learning from the tools, not hallucinations, but things that the software was doing that his employees had never tried. And I got this blank look. And the response was something along the lines of, the employees were never that fast, error rates went down, customer satisfaction went up. Yep, right, classic automation. But what I was interested in was those surprising ways that tools were approaching problems, tools as in Gen AI systems, doing anything unexpected that actually worked, something that perhaps the COO or his team could learn from. And look, there was a longer pause, and he said, "Look, I don't think we're measuring or trying to spot that." So the reality is nobody is. Everyone's looking at this sort of ROI type of returns, as the name suggests, ROI, return on investment, which means they're looking at time savings, cost reductions, and maybe number of, messages or tickets processed. Everyone's asking, can AI do this particular task? While perhaps they should be asking, what is AI doing that we would never try? Right? That's a different perspective, almost like an unexpected behavior where your first reaction is, well, it must be a bug. Now, this particular question, what is AI doing that we'd never try, transformed an entire profession. And that's what my Substack post is about. And it was in 2016, and it was a board game, a profession of board game players, Go, the ancient game of Go players. Move 37. Go is an ancient board game played to this day for 3,000 years, and Go masters refined the art and science of playing it. They also pretty much collectively agreed that certain moves do not work. You have the art of the game, and they would say, well, that's not how you play the game. Players learned to play the right moves, and they also learned to avoid the wrong ones. But there was one player that didn't get the memo. In March 2016, 200 million people watched Lee Sedol, one of the best Go players of his generation, face that player that I'm referring to, AlphaGo, an AI algorithm. During game 2, remember that, during game 2, move 37, remember that one as well. Game 2, move 37, AlphaGo played a so-called shoulder move. That's a move where you place a stone kind of next to your opponent's stone in a specific space, but not where that shoulder move should normally be played. AlphaGo played it slightly closer to the center of the board. Like every expert in Go would say, you don't play shoulder moves that close to the center of the board. This was not a move that a trained Go player would make. It wasn't illegal. It wasn't overly complicated, nothing too sophisticated. It's just that generations of masters had collectively decided across centuries that moves like that do not work. The commentators went quiet. Fan Hui, the European champion who was serving as analyst, left his seat and said, "It's not a human move. I've never seen a human play this move." Remember, AlphaGo was an algorithm, and also it didn't learn Go from humans. It improved its skills by playing itself many times, many times. And as I'm sure you know, AlphaGo won that game. Game 2, Move 37 was the crucial one. Lee Sedol later said he had assumed AlphaGo was merely a machine based on probability calculations. But, quote, "When I saw this move, I changed my mind. Surely AlphaGo is creative." I love that. He called it beautiful. Now, the game was considered, or is considered, a pivotal moment in the development of artificial intelligence. Go was the last game where humans held an upper hand over machines. Not anymore. And Move 37 became a synonym of non-human behavior by AI systems. Now, this is where most of stories end when you hear about Go and AlphaGo. But there's an untold coda to that story. While most stories about Go and Move 37 finish here, there's a surprising follow-up. Researchers from City University of Hong Kong, Yale, and Princeton analyzed 5.8 million moves from professional Go games played between 1950 and 2021. Remember that game was in 2016. So 1950 and 2021. They tracked decision quality year by year using AI to evaluate each move. AI to evaluate humans here. What they found for 66 years, from 1950 to 2016, the quality of professional Go play was essentially flat. I have a graph in front of me, a graph from that paper. It's a flat line. The best players in the world weren't getting meaningfully better. They'd optimized within the boundaries of what they collectively believed was possible. Open up Substack, you'll see more details on that particular graph. Then AlphaGo won in 2016, and they realized they were all wrong. Within a few years, between 2016 and 2021 in that study, human players were making significantly better decisions than at any point in the previous 7 decades. Not by imitating the machine, by unlearning the assumptions that the machine had exposed. All right, so when you look at the graph, which again you can find on Substack, and I'll attach it to materials that are related to this particular podcast, so maybe on your platform you can view it as well. The line turns from flat to something that goes roughly at a 45-degree angle up. The alien intelligence, the AI, had revealed their blind spots. I call it alien intelligence, not artificial alien, because no matter what the digital giants try to tell you, these systems do not think like us. They weren't trained to respect our assumptions. They do not know what we've collectively decided is impossible, which is great. That's usually framed as a problem. Hallucinations, weird outputs. The AI camera that followed the referee's bald head instead of the ball for an entire match. That was a fun story from a few years ago. The chess bot that hacked into game files to rearrange the pieces when it was about to lose. There was an experiment a year ago on one of OpenAI's models. Alien behavior. But here's the flip. The same alienness that produces nonsense also produces Move 37. The same system that ignores human conventions can expose that those conventions were holding us back. The Go masters didn't simply copy AlphaGo's moves after 2016. They were forced to ask themselves a question they had never thought to ask. Why would we never play that? All right? So when they examined their own reasoning, they found rules they didn't know they were following. Heuristics inherited from teachers and absorbed through thousands of games were never questioned. The machine had no such inheritance. It just played what worked. So David Silver, who led the AlphaGo project at DeepMind, watched this unfold and said, "It is amazing to see that human players have adapted so quickly to incorporate these new discoveries into their own play." Now look at your business. Companies are spending billions on AI. They're measuring time wasted, counting tickets processed. I talked about it, right? Let me skip this part of the post. Nobody's asking what is AI doing that we'd never try. That's a different question, not about efficiency. It's about using alien intelligence the way Go Masters did, not as a replacement, but as a mirror that shows you the moves you ruled out without realizing it. So next time you face a problem, a pricing decision, a process redesign, a difficult conversation, ask AI to approach it in a way you would not help me with something, but how would you approach it if you had none of my constraints, none of my assumptions, none of my history? Don't use the answer, study the answer. Ask yourself, why wouldn't I try that? Is it because it genuinely wouldn't work, or because I inherited a rule I've never examined? That's Move 37 question. What is AI doing I'd never try, and why not? 66 years, that was the period of study of Go players. The world's best players were stuck. It took an alien intelligence to reveal what 3,000 years of human expertise had ruled out. Why would AI what would AI do that you'd never try, and why not? That's the post. Look, after I posted it, my friend Toby Walsh, a professor of artificial intelligence at University of New South Wales in Sydney, emailed me almost immediately. I love when readers respond almost immediately to posts. And he said that in his book, Faking It, in the video version of the podcast, I'm just holding the book because I read the book. He said, Marek, open the book. There's a section called Move 37 and you'll find something surprising here. And I was shocked. Remember how I told you that you should remember Game 2, Move 37? Well, turns out that when Garry Kasparov was playing against Deep Blue, there was a chess computer back in 1997, it was the second game where something happened. I'm reading from the book. Kasparov had won the first game. Deep Blue, playing white, began the second game with a Spanish opening, one of the most popular openings played by beginners and experts alike. At the 37th move, Deep Blue broke with convention. The AI surprised Kasparov and many observers by foregoing a simple material gain for a very subtle positional advantage. Kasparov was forced to resign shortly afterwards. Game 2, Move 37. 19 years later, 2016, Game of Go, Lee Sedol against AlphaGo. Game 2, Move 37. A very surprising move. Look, I don't know what to make of it, but I'm curious. Game 2, Move 37. What's happening there? You stay curious. Thanks for listening to me today, and see you next week.